Hello, everyone. Eilers-Heffner, Sapphire Ambassador. Oh my goodness, this book, you guys, so good. So 5 levels of leadership, and we're talking about level 2 today, which is the permission level of leadership. So we started with that position, and level 2 is leading into permission. And really good. So this is pages 83 to 104. I succeeded. I put in pictures of the table of contents for the book in this book club post, which we'll have to probably do for those of you that are on Audible. I can put it in the Rockstars chat. So if you're reading this or listening to it on Audible, then you'll kind of know, you can kind of figure out where you need to be for that. So I really loved everything. It was actually gave me a lot to think about going through this section. And my biggest thing is that permission leadership is focusing on our attitude, our behavior, and our caring of others, so that it's very relational, and then using it really as an opportunity to serve. That just really stood out in my mind over and over again. Also being intentional stood out to me. Again, I think we talk a lot about being intentional in so many areas of our life, and it really does have a huge impact in those areas. And just to keep in mind that our goal of leadership is to help others to work together. So helping others to talk about the products, helping others to be successful in their products, helping others talk and develop other leaders, right? So we don't have like group projects per se, like you might have in some work settings, but in Plexus, I know my golds, we work together. Well, they do. I just kind of guide them, and they'll say, well, I'll do a messenger party on this day. I'll do a one on this day. And they work it out. And I love seeing them work together. And it came in handy when I forgot, this was bad leadership. So I said I would copy and paste us back to school content, and I totally biffed it because it was when we were traveling, and I got in there with my leaders and said, I'm so sorry. I totally screwed up. I said I would do it. I fell through, like I didn't do it. I'm so sorry. And I was thankful that no one's like, well, shame on you, Elizabeth. Like everyone is understanding to know life happens. They already knew I was traveling. And 2, they problem solved around it. So that was a great way that, well, that didn't work. Let's do this one instead. Not a big deal. And then we're also helping others to move forward and helping them to achieve. So this is later in this section, but I'm like, we got to talk about this first. So helping others to work together, whatever that means, wherever they're at, whether they're building a team, building product users, helping their people stay on their products successfully, moving forward. So meeting that next goal and breaking down goals step by step. Jackie is really, really, really good at this. Really good at this. I learn from Jackie all the time in this area, and then helping others achieve and celebrating those achievements. So super important. We all have had teachers, bosses that we have had to follow, right? We all remember our favorite teachers. I can guarantee you all remember your favorite teachers. I know you remember meeting Plexus people at convention that you've never met before, and you still remember that moment like it was a few minutes ago, because it was that important to you and it stood out, and you respect these people. We also remember the teachers that we didn't like, but we were told to be respectful, to do what we were asked to do because they were our teacher, because they were our boss, right? And then we had those middle of the road teachers that it's easier to forget about. So it's our decision. We get to be intentional, and we get to decide, do we want to be like one of those favorite, I love my first grade teacher. I love my third and second grade teachers. Like I remember these ladies. Do we want to have those sorts of memories and draw for people? Or do we want to be just the mediocre teacher, or heaven forbid, the teacher that people didn't like, right? So we have this opportunity in this in front of us with Plexus that is very unique and isn't like a normal workforce job. And I think a lot of times too in the workforce, people get put into roles that they don't even necessarily want to be in. And then it shifts their entire job satisfaction and productivity, right? There are some people that because they're productive, because they're a good employee, because they care about others, they get put into like a management position and then they hate their job. And that is something that's very corporate, is this idea of management. And we are not managers, we are leaders. So keeping that in mind. And then, we want people to respect and love and care and have good feelings when they think of us. And so this is all coming through relationship and having that firm foundation of that. I liked too, so he talked on page 86 about like relationship, that rock, paper, scissors analogy. So relationship is more powerful than price. So this really stood out to me, like with Plexus. I have told people, well, if, I've had to say, like, whether you are ready to sign up for Plexus or not, I would still love to hear an update on how you're doing. I don't want our sale or our price of our products or anything like that just stand in the way of having a relationship with them. And so I've even just said, like, hey, we don't even have to talk about Plexus, but I would love to hear how you're doing. Relationship is more powerful than delivery. So again, we can say something kind of weird and off, like not a good delivery of communication, as long as that relationship is strong. Then those little things that maybe aren't said as perfectly as we'd like, when we go back, we're like, oh, I should have said this or done that. It's still okay because we have a foundation of a good relationship. Relationship is more powerful than quality. Well, thank goodness with Plexus, we have very high quality supplements, comp plan. So that's not really something we ever have to think about. And then relationship is more powerful than service. And what I have noticed in my chats, when I have new people getting started with the products or the business, that if they're getting quiet, I just turn it back into relationship. I get back on their wall and talk. I ask them specifically about something I saw on their wall or how they're doing. And it really does spark that relationship right back up, rather than just Plexus, how many probio, how much water. So pulling that relationship side in over and over and over again is really going to be beneficial and important and really helpful for our people to feel that we care about them, not their sale. And then it's definitely more fun to be able to work as a team. Look how much fun we all just had, and the three of us had in Hawaii, and even hanging out with our bigger team. We had so much fun, right? And that is why we're doing this, is so that we can get together and we can do the convention and the Ruby retreats and Hawaii and all this, and be a team together in person too. So I like that we don't really have this I have to with Plexus. This is not something that you have to do, but we get to do. We want to do. We feel strongly about what we have to offer with our products, with our opportunity, and with building a team of successful people and helping people have the lifestyle that they are dreaming about, so that we can offer this. It isn't something we have to do. It really is something we want and get to do. It's not like dragging to some job that we hate, right? And the key really is to be liking people, being servant-hearted, and wanting them to succeed. So again, this comes back to that leadership. Our goal of leadership is moving forward, having success, helping them to achieve. So action steps, when you're having positive communication, when you're putting others first, when you're leaving those fun voice messages. I've started to record like a 1 minute video. Yes, I can record in only 1 minute to 1 minute, 30-second video. It's possible. I have proof. To a new person that I'm helping get started, I'll just record a quick little video like, hey, I'm thinking of you. And I use their name and I talk specifically. So it isn't something that can ever be like sent to someone else. It's just specifically to that new person. So they can see my face, they can have that interaction with me and all of that, and not be just a copied and pasted message of onboarding. So opening that communication is really helpful. Respect, valuing one another. This comes to with how you're working with your other leaders and how people are seeing us work together. Like you see us, Jules, working together, and that is going to help you want to be a part of that too. He said in the book, John Maxwell said that in church, people come walking in feeling undervalued, insecure, lost. I think people come into our Plexus community, into our team, potentially feeling the same way. This is a new thing. I grew up in church. I didn't ever feel too awkward going to any new church. However, if it was a new church, you're still kind of like, well, this is a whole new experience for a lot of people to be a part of a community like this. And so they may feel a little like lost in that. And it's our job to help people feel welcomed and know that this is a supportive community and a safe place, right? So I kind of liked that we can help people feel valued. We're empowered to do that. We can help them have security with our friendship, with our relationship with them, and help them to not feel lost in our Plexus community. And then, sorry. I just even adding that value to those that we live with every day, our spouse, our children. I've been really working hard on telling my kids that, hey, I heard from your teacher and it was a really good report. And this is why, and I'm really proud of you, because it's easy for us to just get busy and not relay that. Or my husband, I can't remember, there was a weekend or something, I was super busy or tired or something, and he like rocked out all the meals. Like he just like went to the store, he got breakfast, lunch, dinner, he's making dinners, he's doing all this stuff. I said, honey, that was really great that I didn't have to say a word. You just went and did it. You rocked out all these meals. I really, really appreciate that, because what is our tendency? Well, yeah, you should be doing that anyway. Don't you see that all the stuff I do? Like, it was nice to say, hey, like, thank you. Thanks for not asking me any questions and just doing it. And that's how I am on vacation. Jackie can attest for this, Lauren. I'm like, don't ask me, just tell me what, when, where, and what I need to wear. Like, I don't care. Just we're on vacation. Tell me where we're going. Well, don't tell me where we're going. Tell me what I need to wear and what time I need to be ready. Because then I don't have to make that decision. So leadership, permission, we're going to be nurturing trust in this stage, really helping people to know that they can trust us. So again, I screwed up, right? I said, hey, I'll copy and paste this information, and I didn't. That doesn't make me trustworthy. Thankfully, there's been plenty of times that I have done what I said I was going to do and followed through, and it's been fine. Now, that's a pretty minor incidence, I would say, at this level with the people that I have working with me on those things, that particular case, but I still felt horrible, right? And so I get to redeem myself by making sure I don't do that again, right? Building trust. And then this was really good on page 94. Oh my gosh, I like highlighted it all over the place. When the crunch comes, people cling to those they know who they can trust, those who are not detached but involved. So that's so important. Like, I know that I can see who's involved, who's in their business, who's in with this, who's in with communication, who's in their three-way chats. I can see who's involved and I can see who's detached, right? You can see that in your leaders. And that, just the wording of that was really strong. When it comes to crunch time, people are going to cling to those they know they can trust, and not so much those that are detached, those that are not involved. So you get to decide which side of that coin are you going to fall on. So, and again, I screwed up, right? But my girls know that was a weird incident, and they know that in the trenches that I'm still going to be there with them in that crunch time. So, the downside of permission. So again, this is always a balance, right? Yes, I'm your leader, positional, but we want to work on making sure we don't fall into that. And then you have it again at the second level. And sometimes people think that caring about others can be perceived as a weakness. And that's not true. Not true. Definitely, I think with Plexus, we have the opportunity to, it's a little different. It's looked at differently when we are caring and helpful towards one another. And we also want to make sure that our relationship is moving forward too, and still at the forefront. We're not just focused on production. So, hey, did you get any joins this month? Well, I don't see that you have any joins coming through this month. Like, that's not helpful, right? That's me just saying, hey, where's your joins? Come on, let's go. Where I can have a conversation and say, how is your IPA going? What are your conversations looking like? What are you hearing back from people? How's your winning week? Like, let's go through this so that we can problem solve. And we've done this oftentimes, several times in Rock Your Purpose, is we have rewarded the effort of doing the plexus work, doing the IPA, not rewarded an outcome, because as your leaders, we feel strongly that we know it takes time to move people through the funnel, to help have a good verbiage and a good conversation. So as leaders, we're like, hey, this is awesome that you're getting your extra IPA done and you wrote down the takeaway from a video, right? We just did the Hawaii series. We're saying, great job putting in the effort, and we're rewarding that, not just focused on production. Frankly, we have corporate for that. We have corporate saying, here's an Apple Watch, here's $500, here's this, here's that, we have that side. So as your leaders, we get to be focused on effort and having good efforts and good work put into this whole thing. Okay, so it's not good to stop leading when there's tension. So I think that's a normal tendency, is that we love each other and we're friends and I'm friends with my people. And if there is any sort of tension, and then if the tendency is, well, I'm just going to back off and I'm not going to actually lead that person and help hold them accountable and move them forward, then that's not good either. You can't be so stuck in just relationship and I'm afraid to say something to them that, is going to be hard to say. You can't do that either. So we have talked about this in the Jewel level about like, hey, like you can still help people see that they could improve on something. And it really comes with a big like compliment. Hey, this is really, really good. I saw this in your chat. I loved how you said this to so-and-so. And then I just wanted to talk to you about this other thing here, blah, blah, blah. Like, I was wondering if we could reflect on that, think of a better way to do this conversation, whatever it is, and then follow up with another positive thing that we see our people doing. This works really great with your kids too. And sometimes our kids just need to be told, like, stop, we're done doing that behavior, move on, there's that case as well. But when we want to really dig deep, it's okay to have that compliment and then the thing, and then the compliment, a sandwich. There are always going to be a couple people, one or two outliers that aren't happy with whatever it is. How we did a prize giveaway, for instance, we can't please every single person. I thought I read and listened to this book, and when he said that he had the church voted and one person said no and one person just didn't make a decision out of the 30 some people that did vote yes, and he called his dad like in a panic, like his dad's laughing. I'm like, that's so true. We can't always please everyone. As leaders, we're really looking at what's going to benefit the team as a whole, what's going to move all our businesses forward as a whole, your business forward as a whole. And that's where we have to really focus. And when that really does stem from focusing on what is right, focusing what's best for the whole team, and not getting caught up in one or two naysayers, so to speak. So this can be a frustrating level for achievers. High achievers want to see things done, and having relationships is a slower process. Maintaining a relationship takes more time. We can't just push productivity, because that's when your people are going to shut down and feel that they're being managed and not led, and it's a whole mess of things. So making sure also, so the contrast to that though is making sure that we're not just stuck in a relationship building phase and not helping people to move forward and have a win, have an achievement. So the goal, I already went over that actually. And then permissional leaders can be taken advantage of. So sometimes, again, that kindness can be mistaken as weakness. So just really staying focused on developers. So leveraging the relationship in a positive way, bettering themselves and bettering ourselves. When that is the case, when we're linking arms with people that as we're working together, we're both improving, then that's where you have strong leadership and it's helping them develop their leadership as well. And then being open, building that trust. We can have more influence with people when we're close to them, when we do have a stronger and closer relationship. When you're sitting up here not having relationship, like I think relationship and influence with like those that are close to us, like for instance, our spouse or our children, I feel like that can be fluid depending on how close the relationship is at the time, especially with as kids get a little older. When they're 3 and 2 and 1 and 4 and 5, it's really easy to fill their love bucket. It's really quick. Like, let's color a page. Let's play Play-Doh for 5 minutes. Like, let's go play with the magnets. Let's blow bubbles in the bath. Like those, it's quick. And when they get older, as they get older, those relationships and things take longer. And so if there isn't a strong influence level, like, hey, I need you to help carrying these groceries. If that's not happening right away and quickly, then there's something going on with that influence, which usually means there's something not great in that relationship. So it's kind of a fluid thing where, okay, I need to spend some time. Like, yes, the child needs to be obedient. I'm not saying that, but we have to, it's a good reminder as a parent to like regroup and make sure that that love bucket is full as well. It's an indicator kind of. So I think that, you know, really working on relationship all the time is just so important, obviously. And we can't fake it. It's not something that can be faked. Again, admitting mistakes is super important. Did that, do it all the time, probably, or need to do it more. And then it's really easy to impress someone from a distance. It's really easy for someone to look at our Facebook from Hawaii and be like, oh my gosh, that's so awesome, right? But if they come to us and say, hey, I've had 3 people tell me more about what you're doing. I loved your trip to Hawaii. Oh my gosh, I could benefit from something like this. And now it's my chance to build relationship and sprinkle this opportunity to them, right? But that relationship has to come into play first. It's easy to impress them. It's easy for them to look at my Facebook life and think I have it all together. Well, what y'all don't see is like all the messes all over the place, right? And other messes in my life that we're continually working on. And so focusing on that, and then focusing on the relationship. And also, if people are not naturally likable, this is a tough thing, because if we aren't likable, it's hard to like others and have a relationship. I really don't think that's a problem for anyone in this team or anyone on this call. One of the things that was reflected on recently in Hawaii, we mentioned this the other night, was that as top leaders, like, we do like each other, because we know this is a thing with Plexus, me achieving the top and other leaders achieving the top doesn't mean it takes away another person's opportunity from achieving that top level of success. It just means it's possible and that there's room for more, right? But not everyone sees that. So not being competitive in those areas is super important in this business. One of the things John Maxwell talks about, and as a tip in this area, is to find something likable in everyone. My daughter, Ella, she's my oldest, she has always been really good at this. Like, strangers, I like your shirt. I like your earrings. Oh my gosh. I like your bike helmet. She's been one to always, and she still is like this even as a teenager, not in a like, I like your bike helmet way, but in a teenage way of finding things that she really does like in other people. And then I actually had a friend of mine that I was working with when I was working at the hospital say, why are you being nice to that person? Like, so-and-so, why are you being nice to them? Why are you talking to them? I'm like, It is my job to be nice to everyone. You know, I may not like a person about like every little thing of them, but I can certainly find something I like. I like your shoes today. I like your hair, whatever. I can find something likable. Hopefully it's a little deeper than just superficial stuff, but I'm going to be nice to everyone, even if they've done me wrong in the past, even if they've been a jerk to me in the past. It's my job to treat them kindly and to be nice, and it's on them if they can't handle that. I also like you talked about finding things that we like about ourselves. I think that's important. Sometimes people struggle with recognizing what they actually like about themselves. So reflect on that. Make sure you have those things in the tip of your tongue too. And then definitely expressing that to others. And then, of course, dealing with the whole person. So, you know, this is so true. When we deal with the whole person, we get the messy, we get the everything, and being okay with that and helping others to say, you know what, it's okay that you're having a bad day. What can we do to move forward? So that's not your first, like, well, sorry, you're having a bad day. What are you going to do differently? Like, that's not what it's about. It's about saying, feeling with them, hurting for them, offering support, doing what we can. And then when the time is right and the relationship is right, helping people to move beyond that and see how they could have a better experience in the future should something similar come up, right? So it's messy. We're dealing with people, we're dealing with emotions, we're dealing with stressors. Everyone has different stressors all the time. And just getting okay with seeing people's flaws, seeing those, whatever it is, and loving them anyway, and helping them to find their strong suits, helping them stay in their strengths, and moving past these other things that aren't awesome. Like, no one's perfect. To expect perfection out of anyone is ridiculous. So not holding it against them when we see something that maybe they need to work on, right? So, and that's what I had prepared for you, and I would love to hear what y'all have to say.
I will go. So I'm gonna talk a little quieter because in the place that we're staying, like Steve's sleeping right there. But so I really liked the part in the book when he's talking about how building relationships takes energy. So hold on, I'm just gonna walk out here because I'm waking him up. Hold on. Okay. Building relationships, how it takes energy, but it's worth it in the end because eventually those good relationships are going to produce energy for you. Like, you're going to take away good energy from that relationship, even though it can be draining in the beginning when you're building it. So I really liked that because my mom and I both, my whole life, have been like we don't like going out of our comfort zones, talking to people we don't know. Or, I mean, even in the past, I've heard, I'm sure everyone has, like, there's people you don't necessarily like, and talking to them is uncomfortable because it does drain, and it drains your energy. So it just like clicked in my head about, like, it just made sense why it was so draining, because building good relationships, if there's not one there, that's going to take time. But eventually, when you do have a good friendship with somebody, you get to know them. It's not so forced, strained, and draining. Like, I know I've gone out someplace or interacted with people all day, even at convention, with people I really like, I end up liking, but just don't know. And I am whooped by the end of that. So I really liked that. And then he talked about, um, sorry, I'm out of breath. It's just because I'm pregnant. But so when he started out, it took him a couple years of not being so goal oriented and like achievement focused. Um, it took him a couple years to realize that he needed to build relationships with these people and become a better leader because it wasn't getting him anywhere that he wanted. He was so focused on his goal. And I, like, that's me. I just was like, oh my gosh, that's me. So like this past how many ever months, that's what I've been focused on, is building relationships. That's just what I've needed to focus on and grow my leadership led with the relationship aspect of it, and not be so much focused on my end goal, which I still am, but there's other parts of it that are just as important as like the black and white aspect. Like that gray part of the relationships are just as important. And yeah, so that's all I'll say for now.
Thank you. And that's hard to talk about. I'm really proud of you because it's, everyone has a different level of relationship building and tolerance to peopling and things. I feel like I can dig deep really quickly with a relationship. And it is like, I'm the opposite. I'm like energized by that. It takes a lot. It takes a lot for me to be like, I'm done. I need quiet. It takes a lot. So I do appreciate that as I've gotten older, and just the time to not be talking is nice, like it is, but it definitely is not draining for me to be social until it's like way a lot.
I'm so proud of you, Jade, for recognizing the how you used to be very driven and goal, like just focus on the next rank, the next goal, the next goal. And now you've switched into building that leadership led and growing into the relationship and even into the producing level 3 and into level 4 leaderships as you're growing. So I just am so proud of you for doing that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Did anybody else like the symbol, the Chinese symbol for listen, and how he explained it? Like, it breaks it down into pieces. Like, there's a symbol for your eyes, your ears. There's a symbol for your heart, your mouth. Like all these, and then the symbol for you, meaning that's others' focus. It's focused on you. And I thought that was really interesting, and how we need to, you know, look with our eyes to see the nonverbal cues. We need to open our ears. We need to focus on the other person. We need to open our heart. And how often do we not open our heart when we're listening, and or we're not, making the eye contact or watching those verbal cues to pick up on those subtle things. And I think it was such a beautiful thing that that he went through. And I think it's a great reminder for us too on how to truly listen to somebody else when we're building those relationships.
I agree. I think that was a really good like metaphor and reminder to really be a good listener and what it's all about. Because of course that's what relationships are. You can't be the one always sharing. It's the asking questions, which I've learned to be better at, and really connecting and hearing what's on other people's hearts, because that's how you know, what your relationship is, and then ultimately how, as you kind of continue with the relationship and help them with the plexus piece and their health, like what you can help them with. If you're not asking them questions and listening to what they're actually telling you, then how do you know what to change and what their life is all about? So um Elizabeth shared a lot of really good things from the chapter, and I really liked this one. One of the pieces that I don't think she talked about that kind of jumped out to me was the 4 different kinds of people that you build relationships with. And just kind of as I've been reflecting over my relationships, it kind of made me realize, especially as we're trying to connect with a lot of different people, sometimes you wonder, like, why are people not responding back, or why are conversations going this way or that way? And it talks about how there's the takers who leverage the relationship more for themselves, but not really for you or anyone else, and borrow your influence. The developers who leverage the relationship in a positive way to help make both of you better. Acquaintances who just live off the relationship but don't really do anything about it. They're just kind of there, but not doing a lot of give and take. And the friends who enjoy the relationship and your goodwill and never take advantage of it. So it kind of made me realize how we're looking for those people that are willing to do the give and take, are willing to do the developing and growing your relationship, because those are ultimately the people. I mean, you can help everyone, but the ones that will have the better relationship will be able to have a better business, hopefully, when you share with them, and be able to do more and just be able to grow a little bit more, and you can help them better and lead them.
I thought this chapter was really good too. And it kind of came at a great time because my husband, he's still working as a PT. And every year they have to do these surveys, and the people have to, the workers have to rate their leader on these scales. And their leader, their manager, got rated really poorly. And it was really kind of interesting because I'm reading this to him, and I said, and they don't have a lot of respect for their leader, and there's a lot of reasons for it. But it says, levered to leadership is relationally driven. That is only possible when people respect and value one another. It is impossible to relate well with those you don't respect. When respect lessens in a relationship, that relationship diminishes, and you can care for people without leading them, but you cannot lead them effectively beyond level 1 without caring for them. So some of the questions on that survey were, do you feel valued? Do you feel cared for? And it wasn't just about pay or benefits or any of those things. And, they've got a manager who flits in and out and does her own thing and is very focused on status, driving a Lincoln Navigator, but then says has no money for anything, so then you go on to read on page 93, and it says, leaders who move from level 1 to level 2 stop trying to impress others to maintain their position and start developing trust to maintain relationships. That can be tough though, because too often leaders place a higher value on impressing others than on having integrity with them. So if you start to really look into that, their leader is still in that positional leader. She hasn't developed a relationship. She hasn't gone past the, I have this status. I haven't cared for my people. And unless that leader can learn and have some of those changes, she's never going to get past that. And the surveys are always going to be poor, and it's going to be detrimental to the whole department, to patient care, to all of those things. So that's definitely something, as we ascend through these levels, or we seek to ascend through these levels, we have to make sure we're caring well for our people. And even though we earn really cool stuff, making sure that that's not our only focus. And that we're using those as tools rather than flaunting. So I thought that it came at a really good time, and he was kind of chuckling about it as well.
When I was reading, when kids were even gone all day, you guys, when I was reading that today, that particular part really stood out, because a lot of the experience I've had when working as a PT has been, managers just want to push productivity and be the delivery guy of the whatever upper management's telling them and whatever. And we have a new manager in our department, and of course I work never, but I know this woman, we know her, she was one of our staff therapists as well. And I'm going to text her tomorrow, because I almost stopped reading to text her and say, listen, I know you really care about us as your staff, and I really appreciate that about you. You know, I do think her hands are tied a lot in terms of management stuff. Her hands are definitely tied where she can only do so much, but it's not that she doesn't care about us as her employees, as her staff. So I kind of bummed that she wasn't a manager sooner for us, because I think it would have been a better experience, but whatever, it is what it is. And I just, again, this is stuff we have to keep in mind, that we don't want to act like managers. We definitely want to be leaders, and leaders that care. You know, I don't know if you guys have heard this story, but Alec, every time I've met him in person, which is the first time, I don't even know if I was a gold ambassador, and I went up to him at a live event in Ann Arbor, and I said, "Hi, Eilers Heffner. I'm Eilers Heffner." And every time I looked him in the eye and said, "I'm Eilers Heffner," because I'm like, "You're going to know my name." Like, like, you know, and then he actually has learned it, at least pretends very, very well. And he has come up to me a couple of times now, like, "Hey, when are you going diamond?" Like, he knows what's going on. And I know he doesn't now know everything about me specifically, right? But I know he knows about his jewels, and I know he knows about his company and what's going on enough to know that we know he cares, him and Tarl, and like our new Fab Four that we have to look up to. They really do care about the ambassador community as a whole, for sure. And I'll just say one more thing about that. That is actually reflected with their staff, the people on staff within Plexus, you know, IT and help desk and payroll and all of that. Very frequently at any corporate event in Hawaii, after so many years of service, employees of Plexus earn this trip to Hawaii as well. And 2 women spoke in Hawaii about that was Hawaii, right, Jackie? That wasn't convention, was it? Weren't there 2 women in Hawaii? Was it convention? I don't know. All my stories,
Yeah.
all my stages blending together, but
There are some people in Hawaii though that, like, one lady brought her daughter on the
yeah,
trip.
the 2 women from the one that started in payroll and used to have to like mail the commission checks to people, right? So she's been on staff, but she just had, I mean, she started out in payroll, you guys. It's like a basic job, right? You know, it's not being a PT. She's doing basic and whatever, and she's worked her way up within Plexus, number 1, but 2 is just put on so many years of service and has moved up within that office role of, I don't know how to define that right now, but anyway, and just express so much gratitude, and has worked closely with Alec and Taro, because when it started, they were all in like one little office, you know, and it didn't become Alec and Taro and, oh wait, who was that girl that used to do payroll for us? Like, they legit know her still to this day, like still part of their everyday operations. They haven't lost sight of that. And that's definitely something we can do with our team. We have that opportunity.
Yeah, and that's pretty impressive that, you know, Plexus as a culture, you know, has that and wants to make leaders and support everyone and develop the relationships. I mean, I don't know if anyone knows, but I work at the same hospital Elizabeth used to work at all the time. Now I infrequently see her. But, you know, as she was talking, we definitely have had the manager changeover in being there every day. I see so much how it trickles down and affects the team too. You know, we used to grumble about productivity and how are we going to do this? And we're very focused on numbers versus when you have a manager who is more focused on relationships and supports you. Now we hear more about people supporting, you know, the patients that we're caring for, how we can help one another, like having more of that supportive language as a culture, and it makes a huge difference. And so it was, you know, as I read the book and whatever, it's definitely encouraging that as a leader, we want to be there. We, of course, want to continue to move up the levels too. but it trickles down to your team and creates that culture you really want so that you can have a team of leaders as well and make it to Hawaii.
All right, you guys, I'm gonna wrap it up then unless someone else had something to say. I don't need to call any names, right? All right, thanks for hopping on next week. Yeah, October already. Let's stop this.